Okay, everything is recording. Let's count it down. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hi, it's Real Human Better, where we learn how to human better together. Hooray! This girl. Oh, hey there. Hi there. Hello there. Sage Circe here. I hope you're having a great day, or at least a survivable one. It is January 8th, 2026 at the recording time of this video. I don't know why I'm saying that. I may regret it later. I'm new to YouTube and editing videos. I'm used to live streaming on Twitch, and before that I was used to performing in public spaces and teaching workshops in person with real people. Not that you're not a real person, it's just we're not in the same room sharing the same space. You know what I mean? It's different. Okay. But hey there, hi there, hello there. So humans are really special and incredibly unique and amazingly powerful creatures. It's true. It's just what it is. Today we're going to talk about having basically a human body. You're born into this body and you may not know anything about how it works. Why would I know anything about how it works? Because I was obsessed with it, and I still kind of am. As a young person, things weren't going well. I didn't know how having a body worked. It didn't work great. It seemed like no one knew what they were doing. I ended up going to university and studying I got a dual degree in sociology and anthropology. These are both studies about humans. How do humans work? In sociology, we're basically looking at large human patterns, like how do humans behave in complex societies? What is it? What is like the lived reality of a human? So this is going to include things like political science. Really, it comes down to a lot of policy. I do love policy. I think it's wild that we ever got convinced that we shouldn't talk about politics. Politics is the conversation of how power moves in a society. So when you're removed from a conversation about how power is moving in the society of which you are a part, you've disempowered yourself. The goal of this video is to re-empower all of us, all of the people around the planet, because I think we all kind of want the same things. And to reiterate that, that's like health, security, safety, and hopefully some love and affection along the way. We can do deeper dives on that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is largely a lie, and we can talk about the circle of courage. If you're interested in any of the topics I touch on, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to do those videos sooner than later. But today, hi, how are you? So let's talk about you having your own human body. Jump scare, editing Sage here. We are now going to talk about anthropology, or the study of humans. Anthro meaning human, and ology being a scientific study. Yay! The study of human bodies. It's in two different camps where we have cultural anthropology. This is like how different cultures encounter the same things that all humans do. So it's looking at the details within the larger patterns. And then there is physical anthropology that tends to focus on things like the missing link and our connection with hominids, the evolutionary trajectory of humans, based largely on physical, tangible artifacts that we can see or feel in the world, right? I don't mean to be ableist. I may use to see a lot, and I often am meaning tangible, just in the outside reality world that we can feel. And I apologize if I slip into anything that sounds ableist in that. I don't mean to be that way. So that's the anthropology side. There is physical anthropology and cultural anthropology. Now we also have sociology, and this is again dealing with larger, complex human patterns. It tends to have a lot more to do with our lived reality right now, and it includes more of the aspects of psychology and even anatomy. How is medical science being participated in within a culture? How does the culture perceive of it? So there's a lot of dovetailing there. Cultural anthropology and sociology are dealing a lot with the realm of ideas, sort of with the storytelling elements. And physical anthropology is giving us some touchstones into physical reality. Physical reality, by and large, is the one that everybody is like, that's the only reality, right? We've heard this a lot, that your feelings aren't real, ideas are intangible, they don't matter, words don't matter. Okay, but no, you're actually inhabiting a social ecosystem that has real effects on your health, both physical and mental, and your overall well being in any social system. That's just what it is. You are a social creature, you live in a social ecosystem. It is largely invisible to the naked eye, and not to be ableist, it's just not a tangible thing, but it also can be felt. We feel the vibes in a room. You can feel when somebody's giving you the cold shoulder. You are not an idiot. You have a very developed and sensitive intuition system that you've kind of been taught to ignore. And you've probably gotten very good at that. There's a lot of rewards in most societies for ignoring your intuition and not making waves and just keeping the peace, right? However, this also leads to a lot of dis-ease and imbalance, both in an individual as well as a larger system. In order for us to really understand this, we're going to use my permaculture alma mater's motto, if you will, which is the very curious question of what is it and how does it work? This is very simple and very easy. And it's also kind of challenging because we have been taught again and again to judge. You should react. Not only are we taught that, you also have an instinct to do that, a survival instinct that is hardwired into you. We'll talk more if you're interested about the hardwiring of psychology, but I could tangent so much, and I usually do, and I already have so many times today. You have no idea. I hope you have no idea. I hope I don't do some artsy collage of all the bad takes of today. Don't let me do that. Sage, if you're listening, Sage, don't do that. Please don't do that to yourself. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sage. Okay, so we're getting into this. What is it to be human and how does it work? And we really do all have so many patterns, and at the same time, the details for every individual are completely different. You are entirely unique. No one's ever existed like you before, and no one ever will again. And as much as you may not like yourself and think that you're not like the coolest ever, I want to tell you that that's incorrect. You actually are really amazing. You actually are really amazing. You're really unique. You offer a perspective that no one else can offer. You're needed. Thank you for being here. We love it so much. So in this video, I'm really just going to focus on more of a physical, tangible explanation for understanding how this intangible social ecosystem that we inhabit really works. Oops, another quick editing Sage jump scare here. The video is not about how the social ecosystem works. That's going to be a different video. This video is explaining the existence of the social ecosystem as a real world which we as humans inhabit and co-create by looking at the evolutionary traits that set humans apart from other mammals. Spoiler, it's the nervous system, but just take the journey with me. I swear these videos are going to get better over time. Thank you for being here. Okay? Because I think that's easiest to understand. And as in my many years of teaching this curriculum, I'm out of practice. It's pretty sloppy right now. Sorry. But in all my years of teaching this curriculum, I think the first thing to get people just to trust me is to begin talking a little bit about being a human in this physical body, because it's pretty unique. Humans are really unique, right? We know this. There's something about being human that keeps us separated from nature somehow. We're part of nature. We absolutely are. This idea that humans and nature are like against each other, that's a lie. That's just BS. It's part of this accelerationism of the end of homeostasis. It's not true. It's not true. We are part of nature, and we're actually a brilliant part of nature. We can do so much good. It's wild that we spend so much time like sabotaging ourselves as a species, because we could do so much amazing stuff. Okay, but check it out. There are some interesting things about being a human. Now I'm going to back it up a little, make it a little... Okay, when I was a kid, tell me, I'm about to be 40 this year, so that's where my life is. You tell me how this sits with you. But if you're in my generation, if you were born around the same time, do you remember Gary Larson cartoons? Editing Sage, can you like clip in a Gary Larson cartoon somewhere? Maybe? I don't know. like a picture of the guy. Okay, so if you missed the Gary Larson era, he was a very popular, funny cartoonist, and the jokes, there were a bunch of jokes, but there were two camps that I remember very distinctly that I think probably informed like a lot of my being, that I'm only today, as I'm re-recording this video for like the 18th thousandth time, realizing, oh my god, girl, you were like probably really affected by Gary Larson cartoons. So two of the big things were these like cows as people, like living in human homes. Used to have telephones, and you would pick them up, and they had a cord attached to them. And one of the jokes that always stuck with me is that the cows couldn't pick up the phone when it rang because they have hooves, not hands. And this was this whole idea that stuck in my head that opposable thumbs were like the thing that made humans special. That's what separated us from the rest of the animals. And like as a child, I don't know, this really like made sense. I didn't know a lot. I'm new to the world. I was like, yeah. Another big part of Gary Larson's jokes were the cavemen, or like the idea of the missing link and sort of this hominid thing. And it was like, oh yeah, well that's right, because chimpanzees and monkeys, the primate family, all have opposable thumbs. Completely failed to explain why this is so funny with the caveman jokes and the tools. So for a long time, anthropologists posited that what made humans different than other animals was our tool use. This has been disproven multiple times. Lots of different animals use tools. Lots of other animals have opposable thumbs. Neither of those are the reasons that we are separate, unique, or different than other animals. So to back it up and baseline us again, if you didn't know, you're part of nature. It's wonderful having you remember shipping yourself into the natural community. It's great to have you, friend. So you're part of nature. You are in the animal, you're an animal species. So those are distinct from plants and fungi, minerals. Okay, so you're in the animal species, and the specific type of animal family we belong to is called mammal. Mammal coming from mammary, because we have boobs that produce milk to feed infants, right? And lots of other mammals exist. I mean, you've got dolphins, they're aquatic mammals. You've got elephants, they're really, really big mammals. Horses are mammals. There's a lot of mammals. I'll give you, pause the video if you want to check in on like how many relatives we have just within that family. Even though, again, here on Turtle Island, we understand like this is all our family, right? All of this, we're part of it. It's all our family. It's the whole world is here to take care of us, and ideally we're taking care of it in return. So, all right, you're a mammal, and the thing with this, with us as mammals, we give birth. We give live birth to infants. However, and this is freaking crazy, we gestate for 9 months. Again, you pause the video whenever you need. Look at like the average time span of gestation for mammals. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, I'm sorry, but did the math. I forgot the internet's dying, and also that you have not maybe been trained in understanding statistics. Again, academic background. In social science, you have to take statistics classes, but maybe you don't know this. Statistics can look really skewed, and it turns out some of the data on mammal gestation looks pretty skewed out there. So your human average is of 280 days. That's 9 months, 280 days of gestation, of being pregnant, building a new human inside another body. An ape, so that's pretty close, right? That's 220 days of gestation, 60 days less, 2 less months, 7 months of being pregnant, and your baby can take care of itself much, much faster. Now, 280 isn't that abnormal, but as I mentioned in the video, they're for bigger mammals usually. For example, cattle, bison, and deer are also at around that 280-ish average, whereas whales, elephants, and horses, who I also mentioned in the video, are about 335-ish days, right? So that's significantly longer than 280 human days, but they're much larger animals. Now, again, bringing it back to the horse element, because we want to talk about the difference between raising a foal infant or a human infant just from a physical level. This is no social stuff. A foal should be standing within 30 minutes of being born. Within an hour, they should be trying to nurse. This is apparently what vets are looking for indicators of health in a newborn horse. In a newborn infant, I looked up, and now children have all human babies, big variety. We got a lot of diversity that we should celebrate and enjoy. So I'm not trying to put anyone in a box or make anybody feel away. But let's say on average, it's about 12 to 14 months before a child, human baby, is standing on its own. So the difference there is 30 minutes before the baby can support its own weight on its own legs, compared to a year, over a year of an infant not being able to support itself on its own legs for a human baby. Okay, just wanted to like really illustrate and make that clear, because as I was looking at the data, I had said in the video, you look it up, and I was looking it up myself, and I was like, oh man, it is very convoluted. This is a long time to gestate. This is a pretty long time to gestate for like the size of our bodies. And also, our infants do not develop muscular systems in gestation. Our infants struggle to support even their own heads for quite some time. That you need to support a newborn's head because its neck muscles are not developed enough to hold up its head. So when you get into parts of physical anthropology, as well as cultural anthropology, to be honest, one of the premises is that we have developed as a social species because our baby heads are so fucking big. Basically, we would gestate our babies even longer than we do, except the space in the pelvis can't get any bigger. It's as big as it's going to be. So baby heads are soft. I don't know if you know that. The fontanelles don't close all the way until later. So baby heads, baby skulls are kind of squishy even in case they need to squish a little to get through the birth canal. This is all babies. This is all babies, okay? We're not C-section mamas. I love you. I appreciate you. I know you've had a very different experience, but again, we're talking about the pattern of human history for all of its existence, not this very small portion of time when C-section births, where the mother survived, were an option, okay? I don't even think you called it C-sections back then. You were just cutting the baby out. You did not expect the mother to live. Birth is very dangerous. If you didn't know, birth is very dangerous. Part of why reproductive health care and good care for mothers, our birthing bodies, if you will, is because birth is so dangerous. It kills a lot of people. It's part of why we have menopause, actually, as a species. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. So what's happening is the birthing body is creating a new body for 9 months. And then that new human being, once it's birthed through the canal, is going to need a lot of support for like years, right? Okay, and I want you to think about this in comparison to a foal, a baby horse. When a baby horse is born, it needs to be like up and running around within a few hours, or that is an indicator to the vet, to the veterinary medical professional, that something is seriously medically, physically wrong with this newborn. Something's up. Because that is so normal, because that's what happens. Because so many mammals, and this is true of so many mammal species, those babies can have their own mobility pretty quickly on, even if it's just like wriggling around. And then they develop very quickly too, compared to humans, just compared to other, I'm just comparing mammals to mammals here. And I'm not judging, we're staying curious, but it's something to keep in mind. So the premise was that we've developed these social systems so that we could support our young who were going to need full-time care for several years, which is a full-time job, and means somebody else needs to like go out and forage for food or might need to handle some of the heavy labor while somebody else is caring for the newborn that can't care for itself, right? Carrying this newborn around, which limits your ability to do a lot of things. And that would be why we are social species. We've developed complicated social systems and communication skills. Our verbal communication system is pretty complicated, and I'll get into that later, but this is big. So the fact that we needed to support is what they're saying is how we develop these social skills. I'd like to just be curious and question the premise a little, though. What are we doing? What is this? What is it that we're doing in gestation? We are building a nervous system, an incredibly, incredibly complicated nervous system. In fact, again, if I'm looking at adaptations within the mammalian species, even, these adaptations are supposed to give evolutionary advantages under like the basic premise. Again, Herbert Spencer made up survival of the fittest. Darwin never said that. Herbert Spencer said that. He was just a sociologist. He was not an evolutionary scientist. It is an oversimplification. Evolution is actually grounded in cooperation and adaptation to environments. It's about responding to the environment, not trying to dominate it. But I digress. That could be its own video unto itself. You are able to be creative and create whole new ideas, whole new worlds. Storytelling is a human art. That is something that humans do. We don't know if other creatures do it or not. We don't really need to because we know how compelling stories are to the human mind. So to move this more into a sociology or cultural anthropology conversation, what's happening with this incredible nervous system? So that's your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. We're talking about your brain and your spinal system, your spinal cord, which is then connected to all these nerves that go all the way out into your little fingertips, which is how you get sensory, right? You can feel things. You feel the tangible world because of a complicated nervous system that we barely understand, right? But what we do know is that human feelings will kill humans. And I'm not just saying people get angry and commit violence, which we do know happens. It is 2026. We get it. We get that you're angry, bro. But they can also kill you just grief. Grief kills people. Stress kills people. Depression kills people unto itself. I mean, they'll just starve themselves, yeah? So your feelings actually can override some of what we might consider hardwired instincts in other animals. This is part of the difference. We are one of the only animals that we know doesn't live in the present moment. Like, we struggle with that. Our super powerful brains have made it almost a prison. We're all trapped in our heads. We're not living through our whole bodies. And again, this nervous system is in your whole body. It is a massive organ where you are able to both interact with and perceive, as well as co-create a social environment that we all inhabit together. We are creating the society actively together at the same time. Oh, so one of the problems that we get with this big, beautiful brain, where we aren't living in the present moment anymore, is that we end up with anxiety and depression. So on a mental health angle, this is very real. Anxiety, some will say, anxiety is living in a future where you have no control. And some would say depression is living in a past that you can't let go of, that you're grieving or you are regretting and you haven't let go of. You're still living there. So we're time traveling in our minds very often. And this is, to pull in the physical anthropology or anatomy part of it, this is hardwired in. This is part of a judgment. We make judgments from our baby brains as our brains are just developing and you're learning survival. It is hardwired in that you will remember bad things. The bad things that happen to you, your body wants you to remember, so it holds on to them so that you don't make that mistake again. It's lucky you lived through it once. We're not going to do it again. So your body is just like, no, and it'll shut itself down, or you'll have a very hard contraction or judgment around a thing. Yeah? Don't judge yourself about being in that process. That's your brain trying to keep you safe. But sometimes it can get us trapped in ourselves, right? So we're going to reground out into the larger natural world in which we live. We're going to touch grass, as the kids say. And we're going to lean into living and loving ourselves a little bit more, because that's where it starts. When you can start there, you're doing much better. The ideas that you share, the thoughts that you share, the way that you hold yourself in the world will be reflected out. It has real consequences for how other people are hearing ideas, engaging with ideas. In 2026, I'm really hoping we can all understand how powerful we are. We can lean into some compassion, work on ourselves so that we can steward our social environment a little bit better together. Just to rehash, as humans, we are very different. We have an incredible ability to create worlds with our minds. We have very powerful minds. This is sort of proven by looking at human birth, human gestation, and human birth. When we look at the physical elements of what is a human, what is different about the human mammal than other mammals, this is it. It is a very long gestation. Well, this is definitely the thing that I think is really important. Let me know what you think is important in the comments, but we have a very long gestation, which is almost entirely dedicated to development of a nervous system, right? And then we also know that we are inhabiting this social environment. You live in a social environment. The weight of the world rests on your shoulders, darling. Or maybe not, but you know what I mean. You feel it. You can feel the vibes. You get the drift. This is why there are trends in the world. This is how influencers came to be a term. I think it's just money. I don't think they're like coming up with good ideas. I'm just throwing that out there. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know. I'm just kind of saying it like I see it. Just seems like money. Which, yeah, money, power, influence, it's just like kind of all the same. Anywho, we do get to change that when we value different things. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you all more about permaculture in general and how we can create sustainable systems for permanent culture in all of what we're doing in life, not just agriculture, not just food production. The values I'd like us to focus on are care for people, including yourself, including your sweet little self there, Bubby. Care for people, care for the planet around us that cares for us, and care for the future of other people and of this gorgeous planet that we live on. It's really a beautiful thing that we can make even more beautiful. We can enhance. I don't make more beautiful sounds wrong, but like we can help enhance and bring out its own natural beauty. So again, change is constant. It's the thing that is always going to happen. Just don't fight it, baby. Go with the flow. Learn how to make that change work for you. Because you are the only thing you can really control in this world. Yourself, your reactions to things, how you're showing up in the world. Now, we are inhabiting a social landscape. Again, we have big brains, big nervous system. We barely know how to use it. Let's work together on making it work for us. Again, my name is Sage Searcy. This is the beginning of hopefully the Real Human Better Social Permaculture series. And this was just a background on physical anthropology, a little intro to who I am, a little intro to permaculture as a concept. And I hope you stay with me. In our next video, I will probably explain this painted cardboard that's behind me. And we will talk more about how we can help understand our invisible social ecosystem through nature metaphors, which I hope you'll stay with me for. It should be a fun way for people to learn more about ecology and general biology while also getting to care about yourself. You can think about it as like self-care stories. I don't know. This is Sage Searcy, trying so hard to make videos. If you like it, thanks. You could like it, subscribe, it might get better. But if you've made it this far, just thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. We do have the ability to be real, better humans together. And it's 2026, so let's get real. All right. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your time zone. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Okay. Ciao for meow.
What the hell is even that?